Visit Sailrite.com for all your project supplies, tools, and instructions. In this video, we're going to reupholster these folding chairs.
Eric Grant here from Sailrite. Today we're going to reupholster these old folding chairs. And they are old. If you look at the bottom side, it doesn't have any wood. They're actually metal, and they have clamps on the bottom. In the back, it too has a metal piece that is inserted in the fabric, is pressed underneath it. And in this video, we're going to show you how to reupholster a chair like this, because you can't staple into this metal or this metal.
Most modern folding chairs have a wooden backer board where you can staple upholstered fabric onto it and then secure it to the metal frame. These older folding chairs utilize two metal back plates that sandwich a four-way stretch vinyl fabric between the two plates. And in this video, we're going to show you how to reupholster them. The first step, disassembling.
So we're going to remove the screws, which should give us access to this backrest here. Then you can see here there are two prongs, metal prongs that hold this metal piece on, and the screws do the same thing. And all you want to do is pry those up so that you can remove this cover. Like so. This prong is actually meant to go against the bar, so we're not going to do anything with it. Just take a tool in here and pry off the backing. This looks like it's sewing, but it's not. It can either be foam, or this looks like it's some sort of a batting. Just peel this off. And this is your back plate. I want to clean this all off. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean, but you're going to be putting spray glue on it, so make sure that anything that wants to come off is removed. Okay, this is the seat bottom. You'll need to remove these screws. This one, it looks like it has three prongs, one here, here, and here. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to put a tool under here and bend them up. Take a tool and insert it here to pop this backing off. You can insert it anywhere. There we go. This is simply pressed in place, so we remove the old one.
We'll start with the back support or the backrest. We're going to add foam to it.
So these divots may actually show up when we glue the foam to this. And one way to help to prevent the foam from being pushed into there and actually sticking with the spray glue is to use duct tape and tape over each one of those divots, making sure that it's as flat as possible. So we're going to do that to all four of these divots. This is sew foam. It's a 1/2 inch, this one is, and it has a fabric backing. The backing is meant so that if you sew through it, the stitching doesn't go through the polyurethane foam. This works great for projects like this. So we're going to lay our metal backer over top of the sew foam, make sure that we have enough around the perimeter, which is about 1 inch, and cut it oversized. We'll be trimming it to size here in a little bit. We're going to use foam lock spray adhesive that's available from Sailrite, and we are going to spray the back side of the foam. This is the side with the fabric. We usually like to put the fabric up against the solid surface. And we're going to spray the metal backer, and we're going to get the edge as well. Once the glue is tacked up, we're going to take our backer plate and place it right over the foam, and then we're going to turn it around, and we're going to press the foam in or onto the metal backer. Then we're going to flip it around, and we're actually going to kind of lift the foam so it sticks to the edges. Don't worry if it doesn't stick permanently down. It's not going to be important yet. Once that's done, we're going to use some scissors that are not high quality, but yet can still cut, because I'm cutting through fabric with spray glue, and I don't like to get that on my good scissors. I'm going to hold the scissors basically horizontal with the edge of the metal plate and cut along it. This doesn't have to be extremely accurate, but you want to try to stay horizontal if you can. Now I'm going to spray this, but I'm not going to get a lot of glue on the edges of the foam here. I like the fabric to be able to pull around the foam. If you do, it's not a big deal, but I'm going to try to keep it centralized in the center.
It's now time to upholster the backrest or back support.
This is a seating vinyl called Morbrin All Sport 360 four-way stretch. What it means by four-way stretch in 360 is that it stretches along the width, as you can see here, along the running length, and obviously across the bias. So any direction it stretches beautifully, and it has a fabric backing. This is important stuff to use when doing a chair like this because it wraps and stretches around corners nicely. We want to cut our fabric with at least 2 inches around the perimeter, so it's oversized. Now with the vinyl facing down, we're going to spray glue all of this, even out to the edges. If you get a single, if it's not on the other surface, it isn't considered permanent. Now you don't want a ton of glue on it, but you definitely want enough that it's going to tack up well. So there, that's good. Now we're on the back side of this, and we want to spray the glue onto the back metal piece. So we're going to do this all around the perimeter, and we're actually going to come out to about 1 inch all around that perimeter. And this is what's going to be used to wrap the fabric around, and it's going to hold it in place. We'll let that tack up. Now we're going to take this that already has glue on this side, we're going to put it on top of our fabric, just press down a little bit here just so that it lifts up our fabric too, and then move our paper. And then we're going to roll this around, and we are going to smooth this side out so that it's nice and neat. Then we're going to flip this, and we're going to start on these long sides, and we're going to pull it fairly taut and stick it down. Then we're going to start on this side, make sure the glue's tacked up. It is. And tack this down. Now we have plenty of fabric, as you can see, so I'm going to trim away some of this excess here because this is just too much at the ends. Okay. Then we're going to pull this around and tack it. This fabric stretches beautifully, so we'll pull it to the corner, pulling tight to get the wrinkles out. And we want the wrinkles on the back side because they won't be noticeable. Any wrinkle that shows to the front, you should be able to pull and stretch the vinyl nicely. Yep, look at that, that looks beautiful. And again, if you have a little bit too much fabric, just cut some of it out because the fabric's got to touch the metal back plate to stick. We're going to pull this corner. Like that, stick it down. And then we want to inspect, make sure that we're happy. This is what you're going to see. We've got a little bit of a wrinkle here. We're going to pull the vinyl, stick it down. Probably a little bit too much fabric here. That's why it's not sticking, because we're just laying over top of this layer of fabric. Let's pull that corner tight. This Morbrin All Sport, you can get all the wrinkles out that are going to be visible because the more you stretch, the more those wrinkles disappear and go to the back side. That looks great. So now we're going to move to this side, and we are going to repeat that process. Okay, I pretty much like where everything is, and I'm just going to trim away some of this excess. Don't trim it too close because you do want it to stick. But mainly over here on this side, we have the screw holes that are right there. Those obviously have to be exposed. So I need to cut those out so that I can screw my bolt into this. We'll do that over here too. So after you're happy with the way it looks, you can always go back, or if you're unhappy, I should say, you can always go back and you could work on certain sections by pulling the vinyl to get a different look and to tighten it all up around the perimeter. And just make sure that it's bonded well. I like it, and I think that we are good to go for the backer plate here. This is a little bit too wrinkly, so I'm going to pull it and rebond it. You've got a good working time, which is nice with the spray glue. Then this obviously goes on only one direction. There are the screw holes. So the prongs go, whoops, it goes like this and like that. Screw holes here. We'll put this on one side first, press on it. And what I'll do is I'll put a lot of pressure on this. Hold down tight. Then bend that prong over. Then we come over here, press down tight, sinking it in there, press down on this one, bend that prong over. And sometimes I like to take a little hammer, and unfortunately this one got bent backwards a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screwdriver in here and kind of push. There we go, bending it forward. And then I'll probably just give it a little taparoo, like that. You can do the same thing with this one. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. Really good.
Next, we're going to add foam and upholster the seat bottom.
We're using a 1/2 inch sew foam, and we are going to cut it so that it's about 2 inches larger all around the perimeter of our metal back plate. We're cutting our all sport fabric to at least 2 inches larger around the perimeter, again, just like we did with the foam. We're going to cover up these divots with our duct tape, just like we did when we did the backrest. We're going to spray our seat bottom, the edges included. Make sure you get the edges well, so that we can put our foam on this. Then we're going to spray the sew foam, the fabric side of the sew foam, with our spray adhesive. So we're going to take our seat bottom and we're going to lay it on top of our sew foam, making sure that we have approximately 2 inches around the perimeter. And before we pat it down, we're going to turn it over again. And now we're going to press it into the shape of the seat bottom. Once it's patted down well and adhered, we'll flip it back over again. And then we will press the foam up against the edges of the seat bottom, and then we'll be trimming it. Now we're going to trim this around the perimeter. This foam's too thick to tuck in like they had their batting. So we're going to trim this around the perimeter with scissors. Try to be a little bit accurate with this. Basically almost flush with that edge. Doesn't matter if the foam is slightly cut at an angle. Just try to be consistent. Oh, I also don't like to use my good scissors for this because this foam has glue on it and it gums up your scissors. I'm going to glue basically the seating area. I'm going to try not to get much glue on the sides because I want my fabric to be able to be pulled over the sides. So this is going to be a little bit more precise gluing. Now with the fabric, I can get all of it. The main reason is that it's not considered a permanent bond unless you do both surfaces. So I'm going to coat the whole bottom side of the vinyl fabric. So now that the glue is tacky on both surfaces, we're going to take this back piece and center it over top of our foam. Just press down a little bit and then flip it. And again, we'll work with the center, making sure that we have no wrinkles and that it's all adhered well to the seat bottom. Good. Now we'll flip it over and start working with the underside. And we will take our spray glue and we're going to spray this perimeter and this edge. And we want to get a good coating on the inside here because this is going to have to hold the fabric in place. Almost out of glue. Okay, we're going to start with one of the sides and we're going to pull fairly taut and we're going to stick it down to the glue. Then we're going to go to the other side and do the same. Then the fronts and the back. Now, this is a 4-way stretch vinyl and it needs to stretch quite a bit, and we have a little bit of excess fabric here, so I'm going to cut some of this out. So I've cut some of that out there and I'm going to pull tightly here. That'll get most of the wrinkles out. We want to move wrinkles to the back side, not on the side or the top. So by pulling this 4-way stretch vinyl and then basting it down, we can get these wrinkles out of here. And you can see that our wrinkles are disappearing. Here's a wrinkle here. We'll pull it fairly taut. Wrinkle there. And as you can see, we're starting to work them out. I still have a few little inconsistencies here. I'm going to try to work those out.
The excessive glue that we got on the vinyl will easily come off just by rubbing it with your fingers.
This vinyl stretches beautifully, and it makes it possible for you to get corners that just look great by pulling. Now look at that, that looks pretty good. Got a little wrinkle here, so I'm going to pull, get it out. Now let's work to this corner. So you want to do the corners and then you want to do the touch-ups at the end. So we've got all the corners pretty much worked out. We don't have all the wrinkles completely out. Like for instance, this corner needs some help. This one's not actually too bad. So what you want to do once you get it in the right position and you get everything pretty much right where you want it, is you just work out those inconsistencies. And again, since this fabric stretches so much and is pretty much shape conforming because of the fact that it stretches. Look at that, you can work this all out just by working with it a little bit at a time. Now we got a wrinkle here. We can cut out some of this fabric or we can just pull on it. Bam, look at that, disappears. So now, am I happy with that corner? Yes, I think that looks awesome. So now we're happy with this. Here are our tabs. So if you have excess fabric, you need to clear away the excess fabric for your tabs just to leave them exposed. So this is how it goes on. We're going to push really hard here. Use a tool to press our tabs back down. Do the same thing here. And then we have a tab over here, but we need to make sure it's pushed down thoroughly into our bottom plate. Now we're going to put the chair back together the way we found it, and we'll show you what it's like when we're done.
Don't go away, the materials and tools list is coming up next. For a chair like this, we highly recommend the Morburn Allsport 360 4-way stretch vinyl from Sailrite. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of new videos when they become available. If you have any questions, be sure to give us a call or email us. We're glad to help. I'm Eric Grant, and from all of us here at Sailrite, thanks for watching.